Hello and welcome back to Pathworking with Archangels. We've now arrived at a very special place. We have traversed the veil between the lower part of the tree and the upper part of the tree. We could, in psychological terms, say the lower part of the tree is personal and the top triangle of the tree is transpersonal. And in order to access wisdom from the transpersonal, we have to go through that liminal space, which is the Holy Spirit, sometimes called the breath of the Holy. It's like the wind. It's Ruach HaKodesh, the breath of the Holy in Hebrew. So that is where life is animated. Create the personal character of Adam out of clay, God has to blow air into it, into that little creature, that little clay creature. He blows the Holy Spirit in. So in some ways this is like prana in a yogic tradition. Now, before we move to the next archangel, I've got some questions to answer. They've all come from one lady, and I'm very sorry to say that I can't make an attempt to pronounce her name. I don't know what part of the world you're in, but I know you're in the Southern Hemisphere, and when I answer these questions, you'll know who you are, and I put a reply in the notification to let you know that I'm answering them. And I'm answering them in some detail because I think they're really useful for everybody. So the first question that came up was this thing about colour. So let's have a think about colour and archangels. She says that she cannot visualise the archangels with the colours that I mentioned, that I've presented. Okay, so first of all, let us say the archangels are beyond the rainbow. The archangels actually don't have any colour. We perceive them with colour because we are human beings living on a planet where there is colour. And when we experience certain energetic qualities, we tend to pick up a vibration that relates to the colours that are available to us. So, for example, if something is intense and driving and perhaps even angry, we might pick up the colour red, because that colour happens in nature to present itself through different qualities that nature deals with. And we all know, certainly here in the UK, that things like buses and telephone boxes and so forth are marked out in red because they're very eye-catching and we would see them easily. However, there is no language of colour. The famous poet and mystical sort of scientist, you could say, Goethe, wanted to identify a language of colour. And I discovered about Goethe's ideas when I was first at university, and I had to write an essay. Can there be a language of colour? And by the time I finished investigating this, my answer was definitely no, because colour is a cultural construct. What we use colour for example, black in the Western Northern Hemisphere is used for funerals, but in China, white is used for funerals. So there we have two very opposite ways of thinking about colour. Furthermore, the actual way that the eye works, when we're seeing colour outside ourselves, the way the eye works with its constant cones and rods, mechanically, we cannot guarantee that everybody sees a colour in the same way. Now, we're working inwardly, so we're picking up vibrational qualities. And what I understand happens, because I've worked like this for a long time, is that we will pick up a vibration, and some part of us will translate it and perhaps see it inwardly as a colour that we associate with that quality. So if we pick up an energy of an archangel like Raphael, part of us will associate that with a colour that we associate with compassion and healing. So for me, I always associated the colours of the dusk, the sun setting at dusk, the lilacs, the pinks, which are also found in certain healing crystals like rose quartz and amethyst. So quite likely when I make contact with Raphael, those are the colours that I would see. So somebody else might contact Raphael and have that feeling of that energy and that quality, and maybe their association for healing is always with green. So they would see inwardly, they would see green. Okay, so what I'm saying here is that there aren't any fixed colours. When you experience the quality of an archangel, just allow it to present itself in the colours that arise for you. So I think I particularly mentioned Michael as being yellow, and I definitely have a downer on the idea that anyone would see Michael as blue. I strongly suspect that if people do see Michael as blue, it's because they've been reading New Age books. Because culturally, the sun energy is always golden. So if we contact sun energy, Michael energy, I don't think there are many people who would naturally not see yellow. But I'm willing to be corrected there. As I say, if you've been reading books which tell you the archangels are different colours, particular colours, then when you see them inwardly, it's quite likely that you will see those colours. But, as I say, the archangels essentially do not have colours because they are beyond the rainbow. And it is us as humans who translate them, just as they don't have faces or wings. These energetic archetypes are qualities that are they're abstract qualities, and so it's the human mind, and that's affected by the culture we're in. The human mind that layers the qualities with something so that we can relate to that, so that we can find a way in to bringing that quality into our consciousness. And we do that, obviously, by using colours in our environment. And if you want to create a healing table, which would be, an altar or a shrine that brings in the quality of Raphael, then you would decorate it, possibly with fabrics, or you have candles or crystals that all relate to the quality through the prism of your own perception. So for me, if I'm creating a little table to invoke Raphael energy, I would always go for the pinks and the lilacs. But that is to do with my perception and the way I receive Raphael's qualities. So I hope that has gone some way to explaining why people may see the archangels in different colours. So there is a slight extra layer to that, because the questioner asked or said that she couldn't visualise them in the way that I was suggesting. Now, when I first started to do this work, there weren't any books. There weren't any books about angels or archangels. So I had nothing to go by except that very plain map of the Tree of Life, and also some additional information I discovered about where the archangels would be. So when I approached those qualities, I didn't know what to expect. I wasn't visualizing them deliberately. I was deliberately saying, yes, I want to see that archangel. But I wasn't saying, oh, that archangel must look like that and I want to see it. It was the other way round. So when you go on this journey and you visualize the archangel, allow it to come to you. It's almost like you don't visualize it. You open the gateway for it to present itself to you. So that's a much better way of thinking about it. Okay, so that's to do with colours and archangels. I hope that's been really helpful for everybody. So thank you for the question. Another question from the same person is about the Southern Hemisphere, relating to some things that I mentioned earlier about the energy of Haniel being related to the planet Mars, and the fact that we say that we have a month called March, which is when the spring comes in. And I also mentioned that perhaps that energy could be seen as green because it's that driving energy when the spring arrives. So from a person living in the Southern Hemisphere, spring does not arrive in March. It arrives probably in September, I assume. Now, that's a tricky one because even though you live in the Southern Hemisphere, you're stuck with a cultural calendar that was invented by people living in the Northern Hemisphere in the Western culture. So you're bound to have to call it March, unless your local people, your Aboriginal people perhaps, have got another name for that month. So that's one thing. And therefore, you just have to say to yourself, well, whatever name of the month it is, perhaps September, I have to get over that and say, well, September is when the spring comes. So that's when everything is getting green. So you just have to get your head around the fact that, you know, because the people from the Northern Hemisphere went to the Southern Hemisphere and took their calendar with them, there's a mismatch. And I can't do anything about that. I can't do anything more to help you. Now, there's another really important question here about the Holy Spirit. If the Holy Spirit is so powerful, why are there archangels above it? And what is the connection with them? So that leads us nicely onto the fact that we're going to look at the first archangel above the Holy Spirit. And it's a very good question because I've often thought that actually the group above the Holy Spirit, where the three Sephirot are above, might actually be worth giving them different kinds of names, because energetically there is something very different going on here. And the archangels below the Holy Spirit are functioning and can help us function, as I said earlier, in this very personal way. And that's the area that we have to focus on if we want to make a good life for ourselves. However, we don't make a good life for ourselves just in that arena. We make a good life for ourselves when our personal arena is connected with the transpersonal. And we see this in astrology because at a certain time in history, humanity began to realize that beyond Saturn, there were some more planetary bodies in the solar system. And the astrologers began to see that Saturn and below are about personal lives. Saturn and beyond are about transpersonal lives, or a transpersonal realm that needs to be brought into the personal. So we're now going to address the first of the Sephirot above the Holy Spirit. So this first Sephirah is compassion or understanding. And here we have an archangel, and that's the word that we've got for it at the moment, until I found some inspiration to find a different word. This is Zaphkiel. Zaphkiel, not very similar to Zaphkiel, who was an archangel below the Holy Spirit. So Zaphkiel. And we know that this archangel might be the same as an archangel sometimes called Zaphkiel. So Zaphkiel is about compassion. She is divine mother. She is about love. And in this top triangle, we have three fundamental qualities. We have love, wisdom, and power. So here we are dealing with love. And I've got a very short quotation from you, which is in my book, the Working with Archangels book. It's from a poet called Herbert Shipman. Herbert Shipman, sorry. Across the gateway of my heart, I wrote, no thoroughfare, but love came laughing by and cried, I enter everywhere. So Zaphkiel presents us with this rose-like energy, and we can associate her with this concept of Stella Maris, so a star of the sea. And that sacred feminine quality is often associated with the sea. In Shakespeare, we have in the relationship between Romeo and Juliet, my bounty is as boundless as the sea, my love as deep. The more I give to thee, the more I have, for both are infinite. So Shakespeare puts that in the mouth of lovers, very personal lovers, but the bounty and the boundless quality of Zaphkiel is almost overwhelming in its mystical energy. It's like it just will heal everything. We can relate Zaphkiel to Raphael, but a much, much higher universal vibration. And so Zaphkiel's energy will melt all the problems. Love is all you need. That's what they say in the song. Love, love, love. Love is all you need. And so Zaphkiel is calling us to move into a new compassion. The quality is very feminine. It's on the yin side of the tree. It is the great divinity, the great source of vitality and life, expressing itself through love. It is light as love. The light takes on different qualities. That's what we're understanding through the tree. The life takes on different qualities, and here it's just saying, I'm boundless. I just give everything. There are no problems. Just accept the surrender to it. Accept it, surrender to it, and don't allow anything to put a limitation on it. Go beyond what the human structures, the personal structures tell you. Go beyond that and just see what happens. So it's life as compassion, life as an overwhelming mystical embrace. And all the great feminine figures in different cultures, whether it's the Virgin Mary, whether it's Isis, whether it's Kuan Yin, they are all saying the same thing. Come into my arms, let me embrace you. Let me take you into a hammock, a bed, a soft bed. Walk into the ocean with me and allow it to wash over you. So it's the most amazing feminine magic. And if you meditate with Zaphkiel, you can find yourself in this ocean of bliss, this ocean of compassion where everything is healed. And if you are a healer, working with Zaphkiel can present very remarkable results, as I've seen as I've been teaching over many years. So explore Zaphkiel, follow the audio and allow Zaphkiel to work through you. Now, to come back before we close to the question, why are there archangels above the Holy Spirit, and what is the connection with them? Well, the Holy Spirit, actually, I've said what the amazing potential there is there, but the Holy Spirit is a kind of conduit, if you like. It's a place where those top three energies, power, love, wisdom, can filter through into the personal group of archangels below, the more personal ones. So that is why there are archangels above there, all these amazing qualities, which, you know, and there are ways of communicating with them. So we want them to be, in some ways, to be personified, not just as abstract qualities. So they are there because they are holding the divine throne, those three. And then through the Holy Spirit, they filter those qualities into humanity. And, you know, look at your astrology, look at your horoscope, see what Neptune, who I associate with Zaphkiel, see what Neptune does in your chart. See if that energy calls to you through your birth construct, through your story that you're going to bring out into the world. If you're a healer, then Neptune, Zaphkiel may be playing a very strong part, as well as Raphael, Venus. So I hope that's made it clear. If there are any other questions that come up because of Zaphkiel or because of the questions that I answered, make sure to put a notification up and I will check it. But until we meet again, take your time and work with Zaphkiel, and please, please tell me your experiences. I want to know your experiences. Oh, just one more little thing. When we've finished the whole group, I'm going to send you a little questionnaire about what you experience with the different archangels. So make sure you keep records of your experiences. And if you are kind enough to send that back to me, I will give you an extra little gift, an extra audio recording that I think will be really helpful for you. So goodbye for now, and I'll be back before long. Many blessings.